Hello listeners, this video is on Oroonoko written by Aphra Behn. Aphra Behn was an English playwright. She was born in the year 1640 and died in the year 1689. She is a prose writer and a translator from the Restoration era. She is one of the first English women who earned with her writings. She has also broken the cultural barriers and she served as a literary role model for the later generation of women writers. During the reign of Charles II, she was employed as a spy in Antwerp. Antwerp is the largest city in Belgium. Aphra Behn wrote under the pastoral pseudonym Astrea. Astrea in ancient Greek religion is the daughter of Astreus and Eos. She is the virgin goddesses of justice, innocence, purity, and precision. During the political times of exclusion crisis, she wrote an epilogue and prologue, and that brought her to legal trouble. And thereafter, she devoted herself to write prose journals and translation. Exclusion crisis was between 1679 and it took place until 1681 during the reign of Charles II of England, Scotland, and Ireland. There were totally 3 exclusion bills which sought to exclude the king's brother and heir presumptive, James, the Duke of York, from the thrones of England, Scotland, and Ireland. This exclusion bill was passed because he was Roman Catholic. Her notable works include Oroonoko, The Rover, Love Letters Between a Nobleman and His Sister. Aphra Behn, she is remembered in Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own. Virginia referred Aphra as all women together ought to let flowers fall upon the tomb of Aphra Behn. Oroonoko, or the Royal Slave, is described as an early novel along with her play The Rover. The life of Aphra Behn has influenced many contemporary artists and writers. Her life has been adapted for stage plays, particularly in the year 2014 as Empress of the Moon, The Lives of Aphra Behn by Chris Brack, and in the following year 2015, Christopher Vander Ack, he adapted her life into a play called The Leo. Ben is one of the characters in Liz Duffy Adams' play Or in the year 2010. She is also referred in Patrick O'Brien's novel Desolation Island. In 2022, in C.J. Carey's Widowland, she mentioned Ben as a character and also referred her as a role model for her work as a writer, her independence, and her activities. Let us see an overview of Oroonoko. Oroonoko has another name, The Royal Slave. It is a prose fiction written and published in 1688 by William Canning. The novel moved into theatrical adaptation in the year 1695 by Thomas Southern, and it was almost played frequently between the first half of the 18th century, and in the following century it was also played in American theaters. Let us see the characters of the novel. Oroonoko, he is the protagonist of the story, and he had love interest of Imoinda. Oroonoko is the prince of Coramantien. He is sold into slavery in Surinam by the European slave traders. Oroonoko, later in the story, he leads a slave revolt and he is killed by his slave masters. Caesar is an English name that Oroonoko is given before he is sold into slavery. And after his purchase, throughout the novel, he is referred with this name, Imoinda. Oroonoko has the love interest over Imoinda. Oroonoko takes her virginity, and after this, the king of Coramantien, he sells her into slavery. When they become slaves, they eventually meet and they get married in a plantation that they work, and they also have children. When Imoinda was pregnant, it was her pregnancy that made Oroonoko to start up the slave revolt. Eventually, she was killed by Oroonoko himself. Climene. Climene is the English name that Imoinda is given after she was sold into slavery. Similar to Oroonoko as Caesar, Imoinda is mostly referred to as Climene after her purchase, but towards the end of the novel, she is again referred with her original name Imoinda. King of Coramantien. He is the elderly king and the grandfather of Oroonoko. He hears rumors about Imoinda and she takes her as a member of his harem. The king sells her into slavery. The king actually lies to Oroonoko of selling her into slavery, but he instead says that she is killed. Governor Biam. Biam is a governor of Surinam and the owner of plantation where Oroonoko and Imoinda are living. He is expected to free Oroonoko and Imoinda, but he never arrives. Trifre, he is a slave owner who purchases Oroonoko and Imoinda. Let us see the plot summary of the novel. The story Oroonoko is told from the perspective of a female narrator. It should be Aphra Behn. The narrator claims of knowing Oroonoko during his captivity in Surinam, that is in South America. Surinam is a British colony at the time when the narrative takes place. It was around 1660s. The novel's title, Oroonoko or the Loyal Slave, itself announces that Oroonoko is just not an old slave, but he is the last descendant of a royal line and the prince of an African country called Coramantien. Coramantien at present day, it is called as Ghana. Coramantien is a place which is filled with brave and a warlike nation that participates in the transatlantic slave trade that sells prisoners of war to Western ships. Oroonoko, from his youthhood, he has grown in the court and has been trained to be a great military leader by Imoinda's father. During a battle once, Imoinda's father, he takes a fatal arrow in the eye and he saves the life of Oroonoko. At the age of 17, Oroonoko, he becomes the new general and he returns to court as an intelligent young man. In the novel, the narrator spends much time describing about Oroonoko's noble characteristics and is particular of detailing his exceedingly fine physical beauty, which is a blend of Roman and African traits. While at the court, Oroonoko happened to meet the daughter of his foster father, that is Imoinda. He is attracted towards her beauty. They fall in love at first sight. They both happen to participate in the marriage ceremony, but Oroonoko has to stay still until he gets announcement from his grandfather of marrying Imoinda, and he awaits for the blessings of the king. He awaits in keeping with the patriarchal customs of the society. However, the king, that is the grandfather of Oroonoko, he is an old man with lust desire. At once, when he heard of Imoinda's beauty and Oroonoko's attraction towards her, when he looked at her at court, he wanted her to become one of his concubines. When Oroonoko is off hunting, the king sends her the royal weed. It is a sign of an invitation for attractive women in the court, and Imoinda is bound to obey the king's order. Imoinda is separated from the outside world and also separated from her true love. She is kept separated at the Autumn, the king's palace. She refuses to pay attention to any of king's interest. Due to the strict laws of the Autumn, Oroonoko is also prevented from seeing Imoinda until he is invited to see her by the king. Despite the obstacle that prevail around them, the lovers remain faithful to each other. Onahal is one of king's old wives. She decides to help Oroonoko and Imoinda and also announces that Imoinda is longing for Oroonoko's return. Both Oroonoko and Imoinda they exchange secret glances when Oroonoko visits Otten. Before Oroonoko leaves for war, he is determined to get Imoinda in marriage. It was with the help of his good friend and a fellow warrior, Aphra. Oban gets the help of Onahal, who is one of King's old wives, and when she quickly agrees, the two lovers meet, and Oroonoko and Imoinda they spend their night together. The king now becomes suspicious and he sends his guard to comfort Oroonoko. At this time, Oroonoko flees to the battlefront. Knowing that the two had spent their night together, the king, as a punishment, he sells her into slavery, but he informs Oroonoko that he had killed her. Upon hearing this, Oroonoko he gives up his will of fighting and living, and he abandons his troops and he returns to his tent. And in the battlefield, when the war is about to be loosed, Oroonoko he rises again and he goes to the battlefield and leads his army to victory. An English sea captain comes to Coramantien and Oroonoko receives him as his royal guest. The captain talks to Oroonoko. He invites him on board, but actually he kidnaps him along with 100 of Oroonoko's attendants. The captain then brings Oroonoko across the Atlantic to Surinam, where he sells to an intelligent and kind-hearted slave owner named Treefree. Treefree names Oroonoko as Caesar and promises to help free him one day. Treefree also reunites Caesar with Imoinda, whom Treefree called her as Clemene. The couple unite and they conceive a child, and in the days past, they are immediately accepted by the white nobility because they are noble, virtuous, and beautiful. When Imoinda again pregnant, Caesar becomes restless and he wants to take his new family back to his hometown. As days pass, Caesar becomes suspicious of the lengthy delay in their release. He feels that once again he will be trapped and his family will remain in slavery. Caesar identifies that it is the exact plan of Deputy Governor Biam, who played a part in the colonial government in Surinam, who intends to keep Caesar as slave. Caesar takes action and convinces the other slaves to run away from Surinam. The escape is led by Caesar. When they, however, manage to escape, unfortunately, their journey ends in disaster when the white colonists came before them. With the involvement of Caesar's friend Tuscan, most of the slaves they flee from the group, leaving Caesar and the pregnant Imoinda. During the fight between the colonists and the slaves, Imoinda wounds Biam in the shoulder with a poisoned arrow. With the help of Treefree, the slave owner of Caesar, Biam convinces Caesar to surrender peacefully and promises to fulfill all his demands. They together wrote a contract, but immediately Biam breaks it. He isolated Imoinda in an unknown place and brutally whips Tuscan and Caesar. When Caesar understood Biam's treachery, he vows revenge. He murders Imoinda and their child, and with Imoinda's permission and blessing, to save them from prolonged suffering. Caesar fails to enact his revenge against Biam because he stumbles with grief beside his wife's corpse. When the colonists come looking for Caesar, he is rescued by his friend. He then informs his friends that he has a plan to kill Biam. His friends tell him to leave the plan of killing Biam and asks him to focus on recovery. In the following days, a ruthless Irishman, Bannister, he kidnaps Caesar at Biam's behest, that is, from the order of Biam. Caesar is tied to a wooden pole Oroonoko is made to cut his body into pieces. He simultaneously stabs the first man who approaches him. The tale ends with the death of Oroonoko. The novel is written with a mixture of first and third person. Let us see the themes of this novel: racism, betrayal, love and obedience, that is Oroonoko's obedience to his customs and his grandfather, freedom and slavery. Hope this video helps. If you have query, write it down on comment. Thank you for listening.